That's the theme song now. All right.
Yeah, we finally learned it, I
Yeah,
guess.
we did finally learn it. It's not Star Wars-y enough, but whatever. It is.
It is, yeah. Welcome to Drawing Conclusions. I'm Jessica.
I need to clarify. What I meant, it was not Star Wars theme song like. It was not like the theme song. I'm Josh, anyway. Hung up on this unnecessary detail.
Yes.
Yes.
So we've been reviewing the Mandalorian episodes as they've been released. And so today we're going to be talking about the third episode, Chapter 3 of this show. I loved this episode. I loved it. Josh, what'd you think?
This was great.
Yeah.
I mean, I've enjoyed all three thus far. The first episode really kind of drops some backstory stuff, kind of sets the table about like the Mandalorian, his place in the galaxy kind of thing, what he's up to, all that.
Right.
Episode 2, a little side quest sort of thing. But there's actually a lot more in that. I mean, now that I've gone back and seen it a few times and thought about it, there is some more stuff in there about him. It's very subtle. This one is big stuff.
Right, yes.
Really big stuff. So this does contain spoilers.
Yes.
For anyone who wants to bail out now, please don't.
Just go watch the episode and then come back. It's only 30 minutes long. You can do it.
You can handle it. So, yeah, this is great. This is such a good episode. It has such a great payoff and still does set up things for future episodes.
Yep.
I love that. He delivers his bounty, the Yoda species. Gosh,
Child, the kid.
The kid, right? And you actually start to see that Mandalorian's got maybe some compassion under that armor.
Right.
And he gets paid in an ice cream maker full of Beskar steel. that prop is totally an ice cream maker. It was awesome. Like, they're going to pay him an ice cream? Awesome. I want that job. So, anyway, and then he goes to his little Mandalorian enclave that's secret.
Yeah. So the Werner Herzog in that scene, I'm pretty sure of all the characters that I've ever seen, or all the actors I've ever seen in any movie, he is the one that is the scariest.
He's very unsettling.
Right? Like, there's something about him that is makes you very uncomfortable, Werner Herzog.
And every role I've ever seen him do.
Even when he's not, like, being super villainous and menacing, like, he was much more congenial, right, with the Mandalorian in the first episode. He still is unsettling. And then when he does decide to turn on the menace, it's very, very uncomfortable. So, but he makes
feel it.
He makes this comment that, basically the Beskar steel that he's paying the Mandalorian in is a lot easier to find than Mandalorians, because people think that the Mandalorians are basically all gone, right? That they've been wiped out. Yeah, right.
Oh, I mean, they refer to it as like the Purge. The Mandalorians refer to that.
Right.
And if you'd watched like some Clone Wars episodes way back when, you can catch up with them now if you have Disney Plus. If you watch those, you kind of get a feel for like where that was going.
Yeah.
And while he's getting his armor reforged out of this new, bounty of Beskar steel, you get more payoff on those flashbacks they had in episode 1, and you see like the droid army invaded wherever he was, and it kind of lands. It's like, well, how old is this guy? Because that was during the Clone Wars, and so 30, 40 years ago, that kind of thing. He seemed like he was a small boy at the time, and so I don't know. I have to see what the timeline is. I mean, it's not.
Well, do you know that took place during the Clone Wars? Because it's not like they stopped using droids, did they?
Well, those are all droid army, like Trade Federation.
Yeah, but maybe they just... I don't know.
That's true. They could be retasked.
But what I got out of that is it explains how he feels about droids in general, right? Like, he has a very anti-droid stance that was established in the very first episode.
Right.
And you can understand that, knowing that his home was
wiped out
by droids, right?
Mm-hmm.
His parents killed by droids. But it was like kind of exciting to me to see all the Mandalorians
together
that showed up, right, in that scene when he returns with the Beskar steel and is having his armor made. You see the honor that he has when I don't know what the character's name is that's forging the armor for him.
Right.
When she offers to make his signet the Medhorn beast that, but then he, lets her know like it wasn't.
An
I didn't
honorable
do.
kill.
I didn't do it on my own. I had help, and
Well,
I had help from an enemy.
Yeah,
which
that was
how he
interesting.
described the child at the time.
Mm-hmm. He's like, why would an enemy help you? That's what the I don't know, the head Mandalorian woman says to him. He's like, it didn't know it was an enemy. I mean, so it's like, does he know about Force users, that kind of thing? Like maybe the Jedi were considered an enemy once upon a time because they did have some rough patch there between
No, I
the
think
old
he was
Republic.
just saying that he was an enemy to the child because he was collecting it for a bounty, right? I mean, like if you're a bounty hunter and you're going and getting a bounty,
Yeah.
you're not collecting that person or species or whatever individual for a good reason. Like no one's like, oh, I want you to go track this person down so I can give them a hug. I mean, that they're like something bad's going to happen to them. So he went and he got the child, and he had a. I mean, he was worried about it from the moment he returned the kid. That something was going to happen to it, and asked about what was going to happen to it, and so
shut down on that avenue.
I think he realized that he was an enemy to the child, and he was uncomfortable with it. Like he didn't feel good about what he had done. You could tell from early on in the episode how that was just weighing on him. From early on when he returns the kid, and he's they're looking at each other as the doctor's taking the Baby Yoda away.
Right.
He was very uncomfortable with that whole thing.
That's true. I mean, that's a good point. I don't disagree with that, but, the Jedi did play a big part of bringing war to Mandalore back then. And so, I mean, that could be something. Maybe, but we'll see. Again.
I don't know because I don't know all the history.
Yeah. Okay. Don't blame me for your not watching the show with us.
What? Are you kidding me right now? You mean when you would watch the show with the kids when I was at work?
What are you talking about? Anyhow,
whatever.
That's vague history on that one. We don't know what you're talking about. Anyhow, but so yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great things. I mean, paid off in this episode, but also set up for future episodes. I mean, Werner Herzog. Oh, so after he gets his armor, he gets his armor recast. He's got this sweet shiny new outfit, and he's about to fly away in his spaceship.
He just can't. He can't leave. He sees the knob missing.
One of those control knobs.
And that the Baby Yoda had been playing with in the earlier episode, and he just is like, nope, I
gotta go back.
Gotta go back and save that kid. But that's when I really fell in love with this character.
Yeah.
Right. Because he's really there's been a lot of ambiguity around his character from the beginning. You're not really sure, is this a good guy? Is this a bad guy? And I'm not on board to say he's totally 100% good, right? Because I still think that some of his choices are definitely questionable. But there's this core of goodness to him where he can't, in good conscience, let something happen to this innocent child.
Right. There's certainly a level of duty there.
Right.
To other species are considered helpless. I mean.
Well, and again, I think, like we talked about in the last episode, I think his own experience as an orphan, and as a foundling definitely is impacting the way that he is viewing this experience with this child. You see, he keeps having these flashbacks, every time he gets armor made and things like that, right? He keeps having these flashbacks to what happened to him as a kid, what happened to his parents. And I think, that experience just is a big part of the lens through which he views the world, right?
Yeah.
And so even though he's part of this guild and, he was just doing a job and he's not supposed to care about what happens when he's, collecting these bounties and stuff like that, he can't help himself. He does care about this child.
Yeah. He, definitely formed the attachment, almost, older brother-esque at this point kind of thing. Guardian anyway. So he goes back to retrieve the child, and that part is totally awesome.
Yes.
One of the best set pieces for, anything Star Wars related. I mean, it was so cool. He storms the, Imperial compound, whatever.
Right.
And just Starts kicking butt.
Yeah, this episode really had very well constructed fight scenes.
Yes.
So definitely, like both when he storms the compound and then when he's leaving and all the other bounty hunters are trying to stop him.
Yeah, that was a great scene. He's dispatched all the stormtroopers, retrieved the child, and he's on his way out. And then at the bar, all the fobs start lighting up.
Yeah.
To let him know, like, hey, they put a bounty out on this guy. Go get him. And it's just, I mean, it's everybody. I mean, clear the house, everybody.
Right. Well, and which tells you something about how much they are afraid of this guy, right? And
Right.
and also how critical they find this child to be, how important the bounty is, and how much they want it returned. And so yeah, both like props to the Mandalorian for how much he's terrified, people, right? Because he's legendary and he's been able to get out of some real
Many a tight
scrapes,
situation,
right?
yeah.
But then also, again, emphasizing the importance of this Baby Yoda to the people that
Or after.
are after it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And so it ends with a really spectacular shootout, you know,
Yeah.
through the streets, you know, and trading shots with, you know, all the local bounty hunters and dispatching a lot of them. And then he gets stuck in a real tight spot there, you know. Carl Weathers' character shows up again. I can't remember his name right off the top of my head. You know, trying to hash it out, and he, you know, seems like he's stuck again. And then, super spoiler alert, the Mandalorian Enclave is emptied, and they've all shown up in armor, and all their glorious armor.
And they're flying around.
Flying around, shooting people. Oh, it's the best.
It was awesome.
It was so good. And
it was really awesome.
You know, and he's like, says to like one of these other guys he kind of had a scrape with earlier, Mandalorians, and you know, we have to move the covert. He's like, that's the way, you know.
Right.
It was just, I mean, just they give little hints here about what their culture is like now that they're on the run and in hiding, and you know, and
and where the Mandalorians' loyalty lies is to each other,
Right.
right? Like they're all about. They don't. I did kind of was wondering, you know, when he went back and took the child, how the rest of his clan or whatever would feel about that.
right.
You know, if they would support him in it or whatever. And, you know, we don't totally know how they feel about it really, but you know enough to, you know that whatever he decided to do and how they felt about that actual decision, that the most important thing to them is protecting each other.
Yeah, very familial.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, and keeping the Mandalorians alive, you know, and making sure that their clan continues. So,
Yeah. Other things about this episode and the end scene in particular is just like the just unleashing of the full, you know, nearly full and Mandalorian arsenal.
Right.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
So many cool things: the jetpacks, the guns, the variety of weapons.
Right.
Just all like the little stealthy and more covert weapons that he has on his person. You know, from the flamethrower to the whip to these new, you know, singing birds or wherever it was.
Whistling birds?
I think so. Whistling birds. That was pretty awesome scene. I mean, it's just so cool, you know, from his rifle to like his helmet. I mean, just all the things that are integrated in. It's really cool.
And I like seeing how the Mandalorian is so intelligent in the way that he approaches fights, right? You know, like he has these great weapons and he's really skilled with them, but he's also really smart at strategy, right? Like he has a good head for how to use the environment around him.
Right. He's not going in there guns ablazing, trying to, you know, blast everybody into pieces and stuff. He's getting in and getting out.
Right. I don't know. It was just a great episode. Like, definitely, you know, it was a slow build, a slow start. It felt like, I mean, I enjoyed the first two episodes, but it was a little... so for me, this episode was so good, I didn't even mind that the Mandalorian still had his mask on.
Yeah, I know, it's a big complaint for you.
And then they're like, you never have removed your mask, right? And I'm like, ugh.
And no one took it off of you, right? Never.
I'm like, I'm never going to see this guy's face.
Just look him up on IMDb. There you go.
I know what the actor looks like. I'm just saying.
You need to see the character's face.
No, but actually, I think one of the real strengths of this show is that you are able to pick up from other things without seeing his facial expression, from the way that he moves his head, the way that he moves his body, from the way that other characters are reacting to him.
His gestures and things like that, yeah.
And from the tone of his voice and everything, you really are getting a lot about who he is and as a character. And that was way more apparent in this episode. He had a lot more to do, I felt like. And there was a lot more dialogue and stuff, in this episode. Well, so that was helpful.
There were a lot of interesting things, little side snippets, like when he goes to collect his next job from Carl Weathers' character. I should really learn his name. Anyway, but, he's like, he's still concerned about the child. And he's like, hey, forget it, What are you going to do? You can always go to the core worlds and report that the Empire is still like warlords and gangsters and stuff out here in the Outer Rim, and he's just like, yeah, that's a joke. I mean, it just kind of shows what they out there in the fringes they think of government.
Well, and of the New Republic and its ability to get anything done, which based on what we know happens after this, you can't really blame him.
Right.
Grief Karga is his name.
Grief Karga, thank you. Sorry, Carl Weathers.
No. Carl Weathers loves you. It's okay.
Yes. Carl Weathers is the best.
Anyway, yeah. So, like you get a lot about what their attitudes are about the Empire, about the New Republic, about, well, these are Outer Rim bounty hunters. I mean, they always have kind of worked outside of
the law,
and just...
it's very frontier-esque.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, their government's over there, but what are they going to do to us out here?
Right.
Like, whatever.
And and you can, that whole scene too just showed how much guilt he was feeling and how he was trying to distance himself from his feelings and emotions about this kid by trying to take a bounty that was as far away as possible.
Yeah, drown himself in work kind of thing.
Right. Getting right back to it. So.
And Grief Karga is just trying to offer him just ways of escape from his feelings. Just forget about it. Move on.
Yeah.
And he is unable to do so.
But he can't, because look at that face. Baby Yoda, so cute. Well, and I just love, look, I'm a sucker for babies and toddlers, and I've had quite a few myself. And I just love, watching the Baby Yoda crawl out of its little floating bassinet thing in the ship, and the obsession with the little knob from the top of his,
during the end scene.
Throughout the episode, he just it's like he wanted it once and then he wanted it again, which is totally how kids are, and
for sure.
It's cute and it's fun, and you can totally, we are also in love with Baby Yoda. You can totally understand why the Mandalorian would risk so much for this child, right?
Right. That, and there's something very different about this child.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Right. He sees that the child's special. He has compassion for the child. It's innocent. It's pure.
Right.
It saved his life.
Yeah.
Right. So.
And of course, I think the doctor will come up again in later episodes. He had some compassion for the child as well.
Well, I like that detail too, because the Mandalorian's been going in guns a-blazing, disintegrating people left and right, and killing people and whatnot.
Which is awesome, by the way.
I guess that's one of those things where I'm just like, it's like a questionable morality thing for me. But then when the doctor's asking him for mercy and says, hey, the child would be dead if it weren't for me. He'd already be dead. I've been protecting him. The Mandalorian leaves him alone and doesn't kill him.
I mean, even when he first gets that bounty, the doctor is very, adamant about, I wanted the specimen, the bounty alive.
Right.
And so now you know why, obviously.
Yeah. But it reveals something about the character of the Mandalorian,
right.
And what his moral code is. And that's what I see developing over these episodes is the sense of, what his values are, what's important to him, kind of driving to the core of him as a character. And I thought this episode did a lot to advance that and really give you a fuller picture of him. And then also just to show how totally awesome and what a bad A he is, even more so than you saw in previous episodes. And
for sure.
But then also you see this sense of community that he has, right? He has this family, he has this group of Mandalorians that he's a part of.
Right.
And so before you kind of, in the first 2 episodes, you kind of got the sense that he was out there solo in the world, facing everything by himself. But now you see that that's not actually the case.
No.
He is part of a group, you know. He's got his own, you know, kind of family that is supporting him.
For sure. I mean, I don't know. I just love the whole thing.
Yeah, it was
So
great.
good.
And I love this drawing that you did of Baby Yoda.
Thank you.
It's so cute.
It was pretty challenging. I mean, because the skin is pale green, and there's some luminescence or translucence on one of the ears, and you know, translating colored, you know, a picture that's in color to something black and white and, you know, gray is it can be tricky sometimes. And
Yeah.
I'm happy with how this turned out. I think it was really nice.
I love it so much.
Thank you.
You know, normally we try to sell Josh's art, but I might make him keep this one.
Oh, that's fine. I have no problem with that at all.
We can hang it up next to our Han Solo picture here in the front room.
Yeah.
Little cutie Baby Yoda. Anyway, it's an awesome picture. So that's it for this episode. There are 5 more episodes, right? I think there's 8 episodes this season.
Yeah,
so
8 or
we'll
9.
keep doing these videos once a week as the episodes are released. So we'll hope that you'll keep coming back.
Yep.
Josh, what should they do right now?
Well, if you haven't done so already, hit that notification bell. Let you know when we got new content. Hit the subscribe button. Leave us a comment and share. Also, check us out on Patreon. We do have some podcasts there, as well as, you know, digital downloads and access to more artwork.
Yep. Thanks.